imagine a scenario where you take your biggest dream and you just bury it deep in the ground.
Right.
Like you walk away from the one single thing you were undeniably brilliant at. You lock it in a box and you force yourself to never speak of it again for decades.
Which is incredibly hard to do.
It's nearly impossible. But then, out of nowhere, that exact dream just sort of resurrects itself. Only it doesn't come back to you.
Oh, it skips a generation.
Exactly. It takes root in the next generation. It blooms in your child. And this is a child who knows absolutely nothing about the massive sacrifice you made.
They're completely in the dark.
Totally in the dark. So you find yourself watching them live out your exact deferred destiny.
Yeah.
And you are faced with this impossible choice. Do you tell them the truth, or do you stay completely silent to protect their journey?
Yeah, that is a heavy, heavy burden to carry.
It really is. And that's exactly what we are getting into today. Welcome to the deep dive. We are pulling apart Chapter 3 of our source material, which is titled Destiny's Recognition.
It's a great chapter.
It's phenomenal. Our mission today is to dissect this deeply emotional story of character psychology, artistic legacy, and what the sources actually frame as a kind of cosmic alignment. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, we are really looking at this fascinating landscape of generational psychology here. I mean, we have a father and a son navigating this invisible shared destiny.
But they're doing it from completely different vantage points, right?
Exactly. Completely different. And the mechanics of how this secret is maintained and how the talent manages to manifest anyway, it all begins with this very specific unmasking.
Right, in a super unassuming environment.
Yeah, we're placed right in the middle of a Chandni Chowk restaurant in Delhi.
Just a quiet, everyday setting.
Completely removed from the glitz of the entertainment industry. You have Rajesh Sharma, who is the very humble owner of this establishment. And out of nowhere, he gets word that this mega producer, Ronnie Screwvala, is demanding a private meeting with him.
And Ronnie doesn't summon Rajesh to some sleek corporate office in Mumbai.
Right. No, not at all. He comes directly to the restaurant in Delhi, and he actually asks to clear the room entirely.
Which just sets this intense cinematic mood right away.
It really does. So they sit down at what the family refers to as Table 4. And I want to highlight Table 4 for a second, because our sources note this is the specific table where Rajesh's son, Anant, has spent countless hours studying.
For his IIT exams, right?
Yes. The entrance tests for the Indian Institutes of Technology.
Which, for those unfamiliar, are arguably the most grueling, high-pressure engineering gauntlets in the world.
Oh, absolutely brutal.
They represent the ultimate pursuit of, pragmatic, secure, technical success.
Which is such a brilliant juxtaposition for the massive revelation that Ronnie drops right on that very table. Because Ronnie looks at this restaurant owner and completely deconstructs his current identity. He reveals that he knows Rajesh is not just a cook or a small business owner.
Not at all.
He says, I know who you are. You are the legendary 1990 National School of Drama Gold Medalist.
Which is just a wild thing to hear in a restaurant in Delhi. The sources detail how Rajesh famously played this idealistic 14th century sultan in the play Tulak Lak.
Yes, an iconic performance.
A performance so staggering that it earned a 10-minute standing ovation. And Ronnie himself was actually 19 at the time, sitting in that audience, just profoundly moved by what he saw.
Ronnie never forgot it. He saw Rajesh as the definitive future of Indian theater.
And then Rajesh just vanished entirely. He ghosted the whole artistic community to take over this family restaurant after his father died.
Just dropped off the map.
But Ronnie brings all of this up now because he has just witnessed Rajesh's son, Anant, perform. And Ronnie tells Rajesh that this raw, unbelievable talent is purely genetic.
He expects Rajesh to be thrilled, right? To step into the role of the proud artistic mentor.
Exactly. But Rajesh fiercely refuses. He outright forbids Ronnie from ever telling Anant about this past.
And this is where we really have to look closely at the psychology of inherited expectations. Because in many cultures, but especially within the sociological framework of Indian family dynamics, giving up a passion for the sake of family duty is this massive, culturally reinforced narrative.
Right. It's almost expected in some ways.
Exactly. It carries a tremendous amount of weight. So if Rajesh reveals his past, he instantly transfers all of that weight directly onto his son.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Anant's entire relationship with acting would suddenly become entangled with his father's unresolved history.
It's like, I see Rajesh's silence almost like a buried treasure map.
Okay, like that.
Like imagine a parent deliberately hiding a buried treasure map from their child, forcing the child to chart their own course and find their own way. Because if he gives them the map, the child is just following the parent's footsteps out of guilt, right?
That is a perfect analogy. Psychologists actually refer to that mechanism of removing the parental shadow as enabling true individuation.
Individuation.
Okay. Yeah. Rajesh absorbs all the sorrow and the isolation of his lost career entirely on his own. He is acting as a literal emotional shield.
That is heavy.
It is a profound, almost painful act of parental love. He's doing it to ensure that his son can experience pure, unadulterated artistic freedom. Rajesh just fundamentally realizes that true mentorship sometimes requires absolute silence.
That's incredible. But, you know, this concept of a pure, uncontaminated relationship with the craft, it doesn't just stay theoretical.
No, it gets tested really fast.
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
And in an environment that is basically designed to crush purity, we shift from this quiet restaurant in Delhi to an audition room in Ontario West.
Right, in Mumbai.
Yeah. And for context, Ontario West is essentially the nerve center of the Mumbai film industry.
Yeah.
It's loud, it's hyper-competitive, and it's entirely transactional.
It's a Shark Tank.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Anant is sitting there. He's a 20-year-old engineering student with a backpack, and he's just reading for this small, safe, coming-of-age indie film.
But the scene he is handed to read this is key is loaded with meta context.
Right.
It features a protagonist confronting his father about the exact tension between pursuing a dream and fulfilling family expectations.
Which is just crazy timing.
It really is. So Anand doesn't have to manufacture the emotion for this scene. He has literally been unknowingly marinating in that exact tension his entire life at home.
And the sources describe the reaction in the room as completely shattering. Like, the casting director, Meghna, is physically taken aback.
She literally recoils from the power of it.
And the director, Aditya Dhar, just leans forward, completely captivated. Because Anant isn't merely acting out the lines, he is embodying the profound psychological weight of the character.
He's living it.
Right. And the performance is so arresting that Aditya Dhar decides to completely derail his original production plans right there on the spot.
Just throws the script out the window.
Yes. He turns to the producer and declares he needs Anant for Uri, the surgical strike.
Which we have to pause here is an enormous pivot. Uri is not some small indie film.
Not at all.
It is a massive, high-budget, high-stakes military action film. And it's based on true, highly sensitive 2016 military operations. A project of that scale carries immense financial risk.
Huge risk.
And it requires a central anchor who can really carry that weight.
See, this is what I struggle to understand. What does a seasoned director see in a 20-year-old amateur that makes them throw out a massive, expensive production plan?
It's a huge gamble.
The sources note they literally had established bankable movie stars, like they even mentioned Vicky Kaushal was in the queue for this role. So what structural advantage does a complete unknown offer over a proven commodity in a multi-million-dollar film? Is Aditya Dhar just, I don't know, being impulsive?
It might look impulsive, but it comes down to the difference between performance and presence.
Okay, unpack that.
Well, established actors, just by virtue of their experience, they often develop this arsenal of techniques. It's what Aditya refers to as movie star posturing.
Like they know all their best angles.
Exactly. They know how to find the light, they know how to project strength, they know how to play a soldier. But Aditya wasn't looking for someone to play a soldier. He was looking for raw, unvarnished, emotional truth.
He wanted the real thing.
Right. He needed vulnerability existing simultaneously with a deep sense of duty. And because Anant was raised in that clean room environment that Rajesh created.
Oh, right, the shielded upbringing.
Yes. Because of that, Anant's approach to the emotion is entirely devoid of artifice or ego.
He just brings this pure presence to the room.
Precisely. And this is what the sources frame as that cosmic alignment we mentioned. Aditya Dhar is searching for the exact same authentic truth that Ronnie Screwvala witnessed in Rajesh during that Tughlaq performance 30 years prior.
That is wild to think about.
It's like the universe, or perhaps just the sheer mathematical probability of genetics and upbringing, provided the exact vessel needed for this monumental story.
Wow. But here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Wow.
Because winning the role is the dream of millions of people, right?
Of course. It's the lottery.
But the way Anant formally accepts this monumental offer, it forces us to re-examine everything we know about the economics of the entertainment industry.
It's totally bizarre.
He returns to the producers to finalize the deal, And he presents a series of wildly unorthodox contractual conditions.
He starts making demands.
Yes, a 20-year-old kid. First, he demands absolute military authenticity. He flat out refuses to pretend on set. He mandates that real special forces operators handle the training.
Which is intense but fair.
But then he even suggests casting actual operators in the background, wearing masks, just to ensure the biomechanics and tactical movements on screen are flawlessly accurate.
He's obsessed with the truth of it.
And furthermore, he uses his newfound leverage to secure a breakthrough role for his university drama mentor, Aisha.
Which, by the way, securing a role for Aisha demonstrates this really sophisticated understanding of the ensemble nature of art.
How so?
Well, he is immediately distributing his power to acknowledge the people who provided the architecture for his talent. He doesn't see himself as an isolated star. He sees himself as part of a lineage.
I love that. But the most staggering condition he places on the table is regarding his own compensation.
Oh, yeah, this is the part that gets me.
He vehemently refuses to accept any monetary payment for the lead role.
$0.
Zero. He argues that accepting money would fundamentally alter his relationship with the work. He says it would turn the experience into a transaction rather than a transformational act of service.
It's unheard of.
I really have to ask about the reality of this. Turning down a blockbuster paycheck isn't just noble. It feels practically naive in a highly commercial industry. It's like he's an ascetic monk treating a film set like a sacred temple. How does a multi-million-dollar studio even process a lead actor demanding to work for free?
Honestly, it creates massive cognitive dissonance for the studio because the entire industry, as you said, operates on a transactional axis. I pay you, you do the work.
Right, that's how business works.
Yeah. But when you introduce a gift economy, which is essentially what Anant is doing, it strips the studio of their traditional leverage.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. If they aren't paying him, they can't control him through financial means. But if we dissect the deeper mechanism here, Anant is operating on a philosophy of art that he unknowingly inherited.
From Rajesh.
Exactly. When Anant explains his decision to his family back in Delhi, his mother and sister are totally baffled. They're viewing it through a practical financial lens.
Like, why are you turning down money?
Right. But Rajesh experiences this profound internal epiphany.
Because he sees his own philosophy echoing back at him.
Perfectly mirrored.
Anant tells his parents that they never charged him for the values they instilled or the love they provided, and he wants to approach this film with that exact same purity.
Rajesh realizes in that moment that even though he never spoke a single word about his time at the National School of Drama, the core values of his artistry transferred perfectly.
It's like it was in his DNA.
Anant views performance exactly as Rajesh once did. He sees it as a sacred calling, an act of service deeply untainted by greed or ego. The art basically bypassed the conscious mind, bypassed direct instruction, and embedded itself in Anant's approach to the world.
That is beautiful.
For Rajesh, watching his child succeed with this uncompromised integrity is the ultimate validation that his silent, clean-room approach actually worked.
So you have this philosophical framework established, right?
Yeah.
Art as a sacred duty rather than a commercial enterprise.
Yes.
But philosophy is abstract. The true test of that mindset is how it holds up against severe physical friction. And we see this play out as the narrative transitions to the summer training camp.
This is where it gets grueling.
Brutal. We are talking about May in the punishing heat of Delhi at an actual military facility. The actors are placed under the command of Captain Vikram Thakur, who is a real-life Special Forces operator with 2 decades of actual combat experience.
And Captain Thakur establishes the baseline immediately. He strips them of their Hollywood status on day one.
He tells them straight up.
He says, "You are not actors in my camp. You are soldiers in training," because his goal isn't just physical fitness, it's the systematic dismantling of the civilian mindset.
And Anant finds himself training alongside established industry veterans. But the sources note his interactions with them are entirely devoid of any starstruck awe.
He's completely grounded.
Yeah, he meets Mohit Raina, and instead of fanboying, he engages him in this deep analysis of Raina's previous work, specifically playing Lord Shiva in the series Mahadev, where Anant dissects the mechanics of Raina's restraint and physical stillness.
Which is such a nuanced read for a 20-year-old.
And he does the same thing with Yami Gautam. He analyzes her nuanced ability to balance comedy with emotional grounding. He's constantly studying the architecture of their craft.
He's soaking it all in.
But then the camp shifts into the brutal physical assessments. We're talking hand-to-hand combat drills, massive obstacle courses, and Anant just completely dominates.
He crushes everyone.
He finishes the assessments faster and with more fluidity than anyone else in the entire camp. It almost sounds like a superhero discovering their powers.
Well, Captain Thakur is taken aback by this too. He recognizes that Anant's movement isn't just athletic, it is highly tactical. He demands to know where a 20-year-old engineering student learned to move with such lethal efficiency.
And that's when Anant reveals a secret he has carried since childhood. Since the age of 10, he has been deeply immersed in the mastery of Kalari.
The ancient Indian martial art.
Yes, combined with a really intense yoga practice. And this lifelong discipline has given him superior body mechanics, an incredibly low center of gravity, and this capacity for controlled violence.
It's an incredible advantage.
So Captain Thakur instantly bumps him into the advanced tactical program. But I have to ask, how does a physical discipline like Kalari tie back to the psychological themes of emotional truth and pure artistry that we've been tracking?
Oh, it ties back perfectly. It is the somatic foundation of everything we've discussed. Practices like Kalari and yoga, especially when you start them at a young age, they literally physically rewire the nervous system.
Right.
It is not about learning how to throw a punch. It is about learning the complete subjugation of the ego to the physical form. You learn focus, spatial awareness, and absolute stillness.
So he's applying that to acting.
Exactly. When Anant dominates the obstacle course, he isn't driven by some competitive desire to beat the other actors. He is utilizing his deeply ingrained physical discipline to truthfully honor the real soldiers he is portraying.
He actually explicitly tells one of the soldiers at the camp that if he fails to understand what they do physically, he is lying to the audience emotionally.
That's it right there. The physical capability allows him to bypass the struggle of the body so he can access a much deeper emotional resonance. And the military veterans, they recognize this immediately.
They see he's genuine.
They see a young man who has eliminated his own ego to serve the story of their sacrifices. Consequently, they actually begin volunteering their off-duty time to teach him advanced tactics and share their personal experiences. They trust him with their reality.
The contrast between the noise and the grit of that military camp and the quiet resolution back in Delhi is incredibly sharp. Because while Anant is out there bleeding and sweating and transforming into this vessel of storytelling, the narrative brings us back to Rajesh.
Full circle.
He is sitting alone in the dark restaurant long after hours, just holding his old NSD Gold Medal.
It is the culmination of his entire internal journey. Rajesh finally comprehends the full scope of what his sacrifice achieved. He is watching his own deferred dreams not just survive, but evolve and succeed cleanly through his son.
He even remarks to his wife, Mira, that it feels as though the universe is quietly correcting an old mistake.
Yeah.
But the crucial distinction here is that it's doing so without attaching the anchor of historical guilt.
Which was his whole goal from the start.
Because Anant doesn't know about the medal. He doesn't feel the crushing burden of replacing his father's lost career. He is acting purely out of love for the craft, propelled by this silent architecture his father built for him.
It is such a profound resolution. The energy of Rajesh's passion didn't dissipate when he put away his scripts to run a restaurant. It simply transferred. It waited patiently for the right vessel, and then it poured itself into his son.
It really makes you reflect on the nature of passion, sacrifice, and legacy in your own life. You know, we spend so much of our time mourning the paths we didn't take or the talents we felt we had to bury for the sake of practicality or duty.
We all do it.
But this story challenges us to look at how those paths might still be walked, just by different feet. It asks us to consider how the energy of our unspoken loves might be silently shaping the people we raise or mentor.
Because true dedication never actually dies. It just changes shape.
It changes shape. And that leaves us with a lingering thought to mull over as we close out today's deep dive. If a deferred dream is ultimately fulfilled by someone who knows absolutely nothing about the original ambition, whose dream is it really? Does art possess a kind of genetic memory of its own?